Well, you touched upon something that Shobha, you're a big fan of, is that you schedule every single hour of your day. And even if that means that you're scheduling in a massage or 3 hours of time to just go sit at Starbucks.
Yeah, I think that's one of the ways that I find that time for myself, actually. And what I find is that it'll just get filled with stuff. And stuff could be email and Facebook. It could be whatever's on my phone, or it could be kids. And I'm not necessarily actually enjoying the moment. So it feels very artificial to schedule, but I do schedule time for myself. I say, this is when everything turns off, and these few hours are for myself. And so it's time to remember that. And so I'm like, if I have time for myself, is this how I want to spend it? There's actually a great documentary out called Happy. I don't know how many of you guys have actually seen this. So they say 50% of your outlook on life is of whether you're happy is just you see the glass half full or half empty, and then 40% of that are things that we like to do, and 10% are things that have happened to us. And that 40%, I always think about, in this time that I have, are the activities that are making me happy, or even discovering what makes me happy, because I actually realized I don't really know what are all the activities that make me happy. And so I think about it. I think about it, and I think about it from an energy perspective. Am I spending my time on things that give me energy and positivity in my life, or are they things that are detracting from that? And so I'm much more thoughtful about my time, because really I have a 4-year-old and almost 1-year-old, so they're a little bit different ages and stages than Sonia, but like I think that's what I realize, is that so much of that time isn't myself and isn't my own, and I hope to get even more hours next year, even even when they're 2. But so even if I only have an hour, I will think very carefully about how do I want to spend that hour and what do I want to do about that. So today was actually, I was telling Joya, today was actually my son's first day at school, and I did miss it because I am here in New York for 3 days. So it's a different perspective, because I have been there for the last 2 years on his first day, and I said, okay, it's his pre-kindergarten. He's starting kindergarten next year, and it's my husband's turn, and it's okay for him to bond with him and take him to school and his grandma to school, and it's okay for me to not be there and me to always be that person that's there, as long as it's okay with me. Not that I want to force myself, and I was okay with that. I said, I'm okay with that, and so therefore I'm going to let it go, and I'm going to allow myself to let it go. So it's a little bit of a different perspective from that, but again, it's what you want to do.
Well, since we're talking about social media, and I know a lot of people ask for hashtags, it's at LadyDrinks New York if you're tweeting about this tonight. But social media can be a wonderful thing. I think it's part of the reason why a lot of you are here tonight. But it also can be a real specter, because you're looking at what everybody else is doing, and you're like, why am I not doing this? Why am I not in the Amalfi Coast? My boyfriend loves this. I'm like, why aren't we on vacation in Turks and Caicos? Everybody else is on vacation in Turks and Caicos. He's like, well, I don't have a visa. I can't go. But the point is that, like you were saying, that social media has almost become a little bit of a disease, because as a mom, you're looking at this and you're like, well, geez, it's the perception of perfection, but it may not necessarily be the case.
I've definitely personally had an issue with this. I was tweeting, I had like my daily quota, I had to tweet for my publisher, and I was doing all that and was caught up in all of that right before I left, and I just couldn't keep it all up. I'm somebody that I have to have quality with what I do, and I knew my human limitations. And I shared with Joya, yeah, like one of the things and I teach this to all my clients, you have to. This world is so frenetic now, and it's so fast-paced, and it's wonderful in a lot of regards. There's a lot of absolutely positive things from social media. At the same time, something that all of us as women need to collectively become conscious of is that this is also a crisis we live in, because we never stop and drown it all out and tune in and say, what do I want? What is it I want, not what is everyone telling me I should want. And so when I spoke to Joya last week or a few weeks ago, right a couple of days before, I had read an interview with a filmmaker, and I can't remember where I read it or who it was. Since I've had my kids, this is what happens. But and I'm paraphrasing, but he said, quote, everybody today compares their worst stay-at-home day to everyone's A-reel on Facebook. And it's so true, and this is a disease of our time. So one of the things I said is, we can't compare ourselves to others. You got to compare yourself to you and you alone. And right now, if I get caught up in that and I go online, you know, everybody on Facebook, they post their best moments. They post their best family photo. They post their best trip ever. They post their career highlight, their best press. Nobody goes on and says, you know, I'm going to upload my worst hair day photos, you know, or I'm going to upload that photo when like my husband and I were like having a rip-roaring fight at Disney. It's going to be awesome. You know, so you see these highlights, right? And you draw this conclusion that this person lives this rock star life, and that's what we do today with all these reality TV shows. You know, if you follow any of these shows, which I do because they make me sometimes feel better about myself, you know, you see this story and this life is being presented, right? They're really wealthy and their husbands are really in love and they're really hands-on. And then you go and you read the truth in the newspaper or the magazine, they're getting divorced or they're short selling their home. So, you know, so just remember that, you know, unless you want to feel badly about yourself, don't compare yourself to that. And what I've been using as my measuring tool for the last 18 months is, where was I 6 months ago? Wow, look at where I'm today. I'm doing great. I'm doing really great, because the race is long, and in the end, it is only with yourself.